What's up, fam? You're watching Fireforge Gaming, and if you're like me, you've found a genuinely thrilling experience in the Battle Royale genre. The strategy of learning the best places to drop on a map, the desperation of looting whatever you can find just to stand a chance in a fight, the intense high-risk contests of gunplay and tactical positioning, how it all comes together in some truly exciting competitive gameplay, and of course, the high of actually winning, of coming out on top of an entire server of players who are all gunning for the same prize as you. This video will hopefully provide some help to newer or intermediate players towards mastering combat and survival, and being more successful in battle royales. If you find this video helpful, make sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon so that you never miss an upload. And if you shop on Amazon.com, make sure to use the affiliate links in the description, as that really helps me out. Tip number 1. Stop trying to win. Yeah, that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but hear me out here. You're in a fight for survival against what is usually 100 other players. Winning a match should never be the initial goal. Battle Royales are about the moment-to-moment gameplay, where impulses and instincts are what carry you through encounters, more so than strategy and planning. Don't get me wrong, strategy still has its uses, but it'll only get you so far. Battle Royales are about adaptability, taking things as they come and not planning too far ahead beyond the next gunfight. There's a much more important psychological component here. Every time you win a fight against one opponent, your confidence surges and you feel better about your performance, whether or not you make it to the end. The more gunfights you win, the better you feel, and the more likely you are to want to continue and get better. But if your only objective is to come in first every game, you're not going to enjoy your experience much, even if you manage to pull off a win, because getting there won't feel exciting or stimulating, and you won't necessarily feel like you've earned that victory. Tip number 2. Get into some fights. This is sort of an expansion on tip number 1, but I really wanted to emphasize the importance of this piece of advice. I see a lot of new players making the mistake of avoiding fights for as long as they can, opting instead to hide out in buildings and structures and waiting for the herd to thin itself out rather than engage in combat themselves. And the inclination to do so is understandable. Battle Royale games aren't like other multiplayer games. There's typically no respawns, and the results of gun battles are largely dependent on the combatant's respective skill levels. Every shot counts, and movement and positioning matters. It's easy to second guess yourself in a situation like that, to be afraid to take the risk of running through the open to loot a corpse or engage an enemy that hasn't seen you yet. It seems like a much better idea to drop in at a secluded, less desirable landing site and hide until the field is cut down to a few participants at the end. But that's not the way to play. For one, like we just talked about, it has a negative psychological effect. The chances of winning a match this way don't really improve. It can get you closer to the end, sure, but it can't win for you. And when you lose, and you will, we all do, it will feel like all the work you did avoiding fights and watching from the shadows was for nothing. Whereas if you spend the match fighting, killing, and winning to get to the end, then win or lose, you'll feel like you got a worthwhile experience out of it, and you'll be more inclined to keep playing. The second reason to jump into fights is to increase your skill level. Like I said, Battle Royales are not like other competitive multiplayer games. You have to fight and flee and loot and outmaneuver in order to build up your skills in these areas. And the best time to do that is right as the match begins. Every Battle Royale has a hot zone, be it Tilted Towers or Skull Town. Drop there, loot, kill, die, and do it all over again and again until you develop the skills to survive encounters and be competitive. Then you can start thinking about how to make it further in the match, where those skills are even more relevant. Finally, and probably the most obvious, if you spend the whole match hiding from battle, you'll miss out on all that sweet, sweet loot. Rare guns, extra ammo, and powerful equipment can often only be found by taking them off of someone you've just defeated. Obtaining high-level gear is a big part of the reason anyone gets to the final round of a battle royale. And by choosing not to take part in battles, you are making the decision to relinquish the gear to other players, who will take it and get the most out of it. If you want to stand a chance at the end of the match, where everyone left to compete already has high-level gear, you better get into fights early and start building up your own arsenal. Tip number 3. Play with yourself. I mean by yourself. Play by yourself. Playing with friends, or even randoms, is a great way to practice teamwork and coordination, which are skills that come in handy in multiplayer games. But in Battle Royale games, there's a much greater emphasis placed on the individual skill, even when playing with teams. The weak link in a team is usually the one to go down first, typically followed by the rest of the team as they scramble to keep their fallen comrade from bleeding out. And if you keep relying on the skills of the players who are better than you, you'll never improve. Most Battle Royale games, not Apex for some reason, feature a solo game mode. Spend some time in solos and focus on bringing down other opponents, figuring out what loot works best for you and how best to keep yourself alive. Then, when you drop in with friends, you won't have to rely on them to survive gunfights, and you'll be able to contribute to the team's overall success. Tip number 4. Communicate. Okay, so now you're confident in your gunplay, you know how to loot, and you're capable of engaging other players and staying alive. Time to drop into teams and dominate with your friends. But now you need to learn how to communicate with your team in order to work effectively. I've played a lot of Battle Royale games with a lot of different people, and I can tell you there's a major difference in both the team's competitiveness and enjoyment when all members are alert and able to call out plays. If you want to be a good teammate in a Battle Royale, you need to learn how to call out enemies, zone changes, loot opportunities, and the direction you're going to be moving in next, and any environmental hazards. The teams that can do this are the ones that are the most successful, and can even find themselves winning a majority of their matches, or claim high damage and kill counts. I find that this is something that a lot of people struggle with. Your teammates don't always see what you can see, and most often people aren't great at articulating what they want to say in a concise and comprehensive way. Miscommunication or lack of communication can cost awareness and preparation for gunfights, often ending the match for teams. If you want to be successful in team modes, you should practice making your callouts short but clear. So see if you can spot the call out here. That wouldn't be helpful at all. Bad guy, east house, second floor window. Guy in the open, northeast, 50 yards out. Here, right here. He's over here now. No, there. You see how one of those was absolutely no help whatsoever? Your callout should be concise and clear to understand for people who aren't looking through your eyeballs. And you'll find that you're not even having a fun time if you can't meet this crucial requirement. So these are just a few tips that I've come up with throughout my experience playing Battle Royale games. They're pretty basic, and they probably won't be much use to more advanced players. So maybe sometime in the future I'll come up with a list of advanced tips for Battle Royale games, if I ever make it to that level. But hopefully this list has armed some new players with the techniques and mindsets they need to get back onto the battlefield and find greater success in their matches. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace!